Want to shift to another issue that is, of course, in focus here as the Biden administration makes it a top priority. Still waiting to see what exactly will shake out on the issue of student debt. But for more on why it's such an issue here in this country as we continue to see the debt levels rack up to hit record levels, want to bring on Yahoo Finance's Brian Cheung with a focus on student debt in this week's Yahoo U.
Well, Zach, class is in session. As you mentioned, with the administration coming in, a lot of people are wondering if debt cancellation, student debt cancellation, is going to be on the Biden administration's list of priorities. But we need to take a big step back and ask ourselves, what does the picture of student debt look like in this country? Now, mortgages by far are the largest debt load on American families. And after that, the biggest debt burden nationally is by far student loans, which you can see here in the purple bit. Now, after that, the biggest, or rather, the biggest debt load is auto loans. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it wasn't always this case. So if you look at Q3 of this year, yes, it is indeed the case that student debt totaled $1.55 trillion. But if you rewind to the Q4 of 2009, around this time right here, auto loans and credit cards far outsized student debt. And a lot of this is because of tuition inflation, right? It's become enormously expensive to attend college. And this data here comes from the National Center for Education Statistics. And it kind of makes you sound like a grandpa here, but back in the day, tuition used to be a lot cheaper. And even if you index tuition costs to present day dollars, which is what you're looking at here, this whole trend line is indexed to 2018, 2019 US dollar values. A year of tuition, room and board in 1963 cost about $10,000. Now, for the same education that you'll get today, it's going to be about $24,600. Private school tuition in particular has seen the most remarkable price increases, with the average cost in the 2018 and 2019 school year being about $44,300. So here's a breakdown of the percent of debt balances that were 90+ day delinquencies. That's considered to be serious delinquencies. And this is a very noisy chart. There's a lot going on here, but I want to call your attention to the purple line, which represents student loan delinquencies. And it was by far the hardest debt to pay off heading into the COVID crisis. And the sharp drop in delinquencies this year is not necessarily because people are suddenly finding money under their couch. It's because of the moratorium on government-held federal student loans through December 31st. So that would cover payments, interest, also collections. Now, if there's no extension past that point in time, servicers are going to start asking for payments again in the new year, and that's going to pressure millions of people that are still out of work and may end up being further bogged down by the student debt that they've accumulated during their time in school. So it begs the question then, who is the most hurt by student debt loads? And this chart comes from the New York Fed and the National Student Clearinghouse, and it shows the proportion of student loan borrowers with a default. Again, the next step from a 90-day plus delinquency. And across all the demographic areas, default from debt accumulated while attending two-year colleges, which is illustrated here in purple, is far higher than at four-year colleges, which is in blue. But at either type of college, what's interesting is that majority Black and majority Hispanic borrowers tend to face more hardship when it comes to dealing with default. So two-year college borrowers in majority Black areas, for example, default at 1.9 times, almost double the rate of those in majority white areas. For Hispanic neighborhoods, it's about 1.7. And the scariest part about this whole chart is that this reflects defaults by the age of 30. And that's really going to ruin your ability to get credit in the future when you think about how 30 is really prime age working time. So student debt is a major crisis here in this country, but there are a lot of other questions as well, right? Are there too many people going to college? Is college really setting people up for the right jobs to then pay off that debt? Should the federal government be offering more grants instead of loans? But either way you cut it or slice it, student debt is a massive weight on the US economy. And Zach Akiko, by the way, this Yahoo University session is free for charge. We're not going to charge tuition.
I hope it's free.
I'd be asking for my money back.
So much student debt.
I got you.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Brian. This is, of course, an issue that no question we're going to continue to cover because we have seen just how quickly the debt picture has risen among students, and they're likely to increase, especially as a result of this pandemic.